Welcome to this Inwards and Upwards show. We're back live and dangerous. And I'd love to introduce you to Natalie King. She is a confidence coach. Confidence. Who needs confidence? I think we all do. I think we all need a bit of confidence to keep us actually surviving in this crazy matrix that we call the world today. So please give a big shake of the hands to Natalie King. Hey, hello, Natalie. How are you today?
It's really great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, I'm doing great.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, it's been a long time since I spoke to you, all of 4 hours or so, because Natalie has a podcast as well. She presents on a podcast. But firstly, I'd like to know about your journey of getting into confidence and what you feel made you inspired you to actually feel like that you needed to be more confident. So, what really got you into that idea of being a confidence coach? What's the beginnings of your story, I should say?
Well, back in, but I didn't set out to be a confidence coach. It actually I just landed up there. Was not planned. Was not something that I really understood, and it was just a meanderings and just following where my life has taken me. That's got me where am today. So basically back in 2013, that's pretty much when my journey started, is I was at a point where I had to make a change. So I had a panic attack going to work, and it's not very healthy to have a panic attack doing 70 miles an hour down the motorway, because you can cause a lot of damage. But somehow, by the grace of God, or the angels or spirits or whoever, I landed up at work, and I had to drive through Cambridge, which is full of cyclists, full of students, and a lot of traffic. And I don't know how I got to work. And that was what I call my defining moment. Is I then realized I had to make a change. The previous to that, I've just had one job after another, anything that paid the bills, anything that I could go to work, be there for a certain amount of hours, do the bare minimum, because I never liked my jobs, and then leave and not have to think about it. But you pay me a wage at the end of the week or at the end of the month. And that's how I just existed, really. But when this happened, I realized that I had to make a difference, because no knight on a white steed was going to come and save me. And I just quit my job. I handed in my notice there and then. I had to work the month, but it made me start to think. And I was very much a hermit, and I had absolutely no confidence. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I basically, at work, I could do my job, and I was competent at my job. But I then wouldn't talk to anybody when I left home. I didn't have much of a social life, and I wanted to start my own business. Or actually, I didn't want to start my own business. I That was the only option to me, because I didn't want to go to another job where I was going to be bullied, where it was going to be awful. And that is what it was. It was always the bullies. And I just seemed to have, I think I had victim written on my forehead and bully me, because the minute I left my jobs because of the bullies, and then I'd find a new bully. And I realized I had to start my own business so that I didn't wasn't employed and wasn't in those situations. Well, one of the things you got to do when you start your own business is you got to speak to people. No.
Yes, yes, it's quite a really, really big thing. Yes.
Oh boy, that scared me. That scared me. And I was at an event, and you do the usual stand up. Where are you from? What's your name? I stood up, and nothing came out. It was and
Ah,
nothing happened. And the person next to me, I said, "Who am I?" I didn't know who I was. And he looked at me and said, "You need Toastmasters." Well,
mm.
the first thing I said to him is, "What do I want to talk at weddings for?" But I know there's two Toastmasters, and especially in the UK, you get those who go to weddings and they
Yeah.
sort of master ceremony. And I'm thinking, what do I want to do that for? And he said to me, no, dear, there's another Toastmasters which is all about public speaking. I think you need to go. And I did, because again, like I said, I realized I had to make the choice. I had to do it. And yeah, I joined Toastmasters, went for 6 months and didn't speak. And I'm still trying to build a business, but not speaking to anybody. So that's essentially where it started. And it's over the years, I did a lot of personal development with the business I was with. Toastmasters helped me to learn to speak to people. And through the combination of those two things, I realized that there was this thing called confidence. I didn't know what confidence was before that. I didn't understand what it was. I didn't realize that that's one of the things I was lacking in. And it took many years to get to that idea, to get to that concept. And when I realized, hang on a minute, it's got to do with confidence, I started to really look at what is confidence? What does it mean? What is the idea behind it? And can people become confident who've never been confident? And this is where I learned that confidence is a skill. And when something's a skill, you can learn it, you can develop
Mm.
it. And that's essentially how the journey started. It was a bumpy ride. It was not straight and narrow and smooth. And it took a lot of perseverance, I think is the
Mm.
word. But once I started to, for myself, started to gain confidence through the Toastmasters and through public speaking, I remember I did my fifth speech. So in Toastmasters, in the old program, you did 10 speeches, which was your sort of introduction into getting to the next level. And you did them in your own time, and they were set out in sort of times and the idea behind it. And I remember doing the fifth speech, and I remember it's the fifth one. And I got up, the usual nerves and the fear of speaking. And I was talking about something I was really passionate about, which is the Terry Pratchett books. And I just got into it. And I sat down after my 7 minutes. I sat down, I thought, what the hell? That was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That was fun. And I'm sure you recognize that feeling. And I actually did. I did drop the F-bomb, and I did it quite loudly because I was so shocked. I was like, what the, and everybody looked at me. It's like, what's the matter? What's wrong? And I said, that was fun. And they're like, duh, be telling you that these last sort of, I think it was 18 months by now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I actually enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy, doing the public speaking. And that was, I think, me starting to gain my confidence, but not realizing it. So yeah, it's had its ups and downs, but the biggest thing was confidence is a skill that you can learn.
Yeah, because Toastmasters is probably one of the best kept secrets of this country because it's so affordable for anybody to do. And they don't say this is going to give you loads of confidence. They just say, come and learn to speak. Of course, one of the biggest fears of everybody is to speak in public. And I, I was the same as you. I stood up at a meeting in London where actually, this is me anyway, the off the wall me, we were trying to set up an alternative government compared to the one that we've got already because we think it's like very unjust, but that's me. And I stood up and talked about health. And the guy who I was going to set up the health department for this new alternative government said, you should go to Toastmasters. And I thought, well, I thought exactly the same as you. I don't want to go and stand in the red coat going, hear you, these two people are getting married. And that's what you think it is, but it isn't. Actually, it's all about confidence and learning to speak in public. But also, one of the most important aspects of that is being a mentor and a mentee. How did you find that journey, the mentor, the mentee sort of relationship with the people that you're involved with?
I think I was very lucky. Is I was actually with Americans because I live near an American airbase, and the
Ah,
Toastmasters group that I became part of was actually on the base. So it was a quite an interesting experience, and I was given a mentor, and I was very ignorant. 2013 was a rebirth for me, because before that time I was very proud to be very narrow-minded, very closed-minded. I knew what I knew, and you couldn't teach me anything, and I was proud of that. And I was very ignorant, and I was told I would get a mentor. I'm like, huh? What's a mentor? And I was well educated. I went to a good school, but I was just ignorant on general knowledge and on life. And I thought, okay, fine. So this nice man came and he said, "I'm going to be your mentor." Well, what's a mentor? What are you going to do? First thing I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to tell me what to do, and he's going to make me, like homework. And he says, "I'm just there to support you if you need any support. I'll help you with your first speech. Whatever you need, I will help you with." And after 6 months, he came up to me every 2 weeks when we meet. He'd say, "How are you? Are you ready today?" "No." "Okay." And he'd leave me alone. And after 6 months, he came up to me and he said, "I think it's time now. It's time that you stand up and you do something." And in Toastmasters, there's duties that you fill within the meetings. You've got like a timer. You have, you might have to help me here a bit, Peter. I've forgotten.
Adjudicator, you got a timer, you've got sergeant at arms, you've got all sorts of people doing all sorts of
And
different
speech
roles.
evaluators. So you have these
Evaluator, yeah.
roles that you play, that you do within the meeting. And he said to me, "I'm going to give you the timer slot. All you do is time." I knew what the timer did because I've been going to the meetings for 6 months. And there's not a lot that you got to say when you stand up, and you don't have to go to the front. You can just stand up where you are and do it. And there was a script. Americans, very organized, military, So there
Oh
was a
yeah, yeah,
script.
yeah.
And I said, "Okay, I can do that." And I was okay with that. And then he'd give me duties every 2 weeks. I had to do one of the roles, the really simple roles. And then he said, "Right, it's time. You're doing a table topic today."
Oh my
Now,
goodness.
a table topic is you given a topic and you've got to talk about it for 2 minutes
Mm,
off the cuff. Actually, it's one of my favorite things. I love table topics. I really do. Now, I love just off the
mm,
cuff. And I
mm.
think table topics has really helped me to not be prepared. Like here, just talk off the cuff. But back then, it's like, for 2 minutes, I've got to do a table topic. He says, "I'll give you something really simple. I'll give you an easy topic." And he was very supportive. He knew when to push, and he knew when to hold back. And then I'd been going for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and I got a new mentor now. And he came up to me and he said, "You're going to do DTM." And now DTM is a distinguished Toastmaster. I'm like, hell no. No, no, this isn't happening. Because part of DTM role is there's leadership roles that you need to do, and you become like an area director, and there's a lot of organization that you got to do, and you visit other clubs, and you've got to talk in front of people you don't necessarily know, because I was comfortable with my club, and I was just like, no, that's not going to happen. I got my DTM because he didn't let up. He just kept
Whoa,
on at me.
amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
That's a big achievement in post Toastmaster. It is a big achievement.
You have to have the right mentor.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the right mentor, there's no way I would have done it. So I was lucky with my mentor. So having the right people who knew when to push, knew when to pull back, knew what support to give me, knew when to just leave me to get it done, work it out in my own head. That's a skill. And
Mm,
and when you have a mentor like that, it's really good. And this is what I've tried to emulate when I mentored new speakers. It's, when do I push? When do I hold back? And
mm,
really get to know the person who you are mentoring. Learn about them, understand them.
mm.
And quite often when I get somebody who came into the club and I was delegated their mentor, I'd meet up for coffee to see, right, what is it that you're wanting from the club? how much pushing do you want from me? How much hand holding? Are you do you just want to do your own thing, or do you want me to really be and this is the thing with being a mentor and a mentee. You need that relationship. You need that conversations,
Mm,
because not everybody wants to be pushed.
no.
Not everybody really wants a mentor, but they just need to know that there's that person that can just send a message and say, bit stuck, what do I do?
Mm,
And I think with that system of having the mentors in Toastmasters is really good, because it helps you to understand, what do I want from a mentor? And can I then, how do I become a good mentor?
mm. It's a really important relationship. I had amazing mentors at my Toastmasters. One of them was Patrick. And he said to me, he's an Irish guy, goes, Peter, we all know how amazing and wonderful and how brilliant you are, but what's in it for them? What's in it for them? It's like, not about you. It's about what you're saying. And it got me to the point where I was going out and speaking in public, and I managed to get to the Care and Quality Commission meeting at the Royal Society and speak to the people who organise the NHS about holistic health, which was like phenomenal, jaw dropping for me to stand in front of these people who are like more into um, the medical system we got now, the allopathic system, rather than the homeopathic natural system. So I was obviously fairly nervous going in there, but because of the training that I had and I stuck to the script, people came up to me afterwards and said, "Well, that was really enlightening. That was really amazing what you were talking about there, and it all made sense." And that was all down to Toastmasters, nothing to do with my skill or nothing to do with me as a human being. It was the skills and the tools that I was taught to put points together to say, this is what you should know, because this is really important for our society today. And I wouldn't normally have done that. I wouldn't have done that. I'd have been so angry at them. You can't be doing what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It was a controlled, passionate speech that actually gave them good information that was scientifically backed, which is virtually all the Ki Gong that I do, and everything that I teach is really based on science, or my small knowledge of science, as it were. So it's important to do that. So where did you go after Toastmasters? What happened after Toastmasters, your Toastmasters journey?
The pandemic got me out of my Toastmasters journey.
Yeah, same here.
So I qualified. Well, I got my DTM in 29 at the towards the end of 2019, and I'd actually started to do confidence with public speaking. So I created a course, and I was talking to accountants, solicitors, people who need to get up and do speeches, but not long talks, but more present at meetings or in the courtrooms or wherever, and just helping to them to have that conversation to present to clients or bosses or something. And that was starting to pick up quite nicely. And then March 2020 hit, and everything went online. The world's totally collapsed, and everything went online. And previously to that, I didn't want to be online. I was really happy doing everything face to face. And
Mm.
my ignorance still comes out every now and again. And, it's like, I'm never going to go online. It's impersonal. I like to be in front of people. Well, 3 years down the line, I don't do anything in face to face. I do everything online. Um, so it's the total opposite. So when Toastmasters went online, I didn't feel very comfortable. And I was also then I had to get a job at Tesco's, because both my husband and my business just vanished overnight. So I was doing nights at Tesco's. So the last thing I wanted to do was stand up and do Toastmasters. And it's sort of just petered out from that. And I thought, well, okay, I had completed what I wanted to complete, and I'm always grateful for Toastmasters. But at the moment, I'm not sure if I'll go back, because my life is full with other things. But it's not because I don't want to, or it's not because, oh, they're rubbish. It's just it was a phase in my life, and now it's not part of my life anymore.
Mm.
And but I always recommend Toastmasters, especially if you're wanting to just find a way to learn to speak to people, whether it's presenting or just one-to-ones. it's really great, and especially because they have the combination of speeches, roles that you can play. They help with leadership roles, but also with the table topics. It helps you to have the confidence to have any random question thrown at you, and then to just speak about anything,
Mm,
whether you know about it or not. I mean, that's the great thing about table topics, is you could lie, you could make stuff up. It's just about having that confidence to think on your feet. And when you're so nervous and having to do public speaking, it's difficult to think on your feet, and you almost need to remember your speech by rote. And then if you get that blank moment, it's difficult to hold that in. So table topics is a way of building confidence. It's a way of just helping you to, you know what, okay, I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm just going to spew out stuff because I've got 2 minutes and I can talk about anything, as long as it somehow can connect to the random topic that have been asked. And it could be anything that the topic master, that's another role that's played, can come up with. It can be, why did you paint your house pink?
mm,
It could be anything. That if you were an animal, what animal would you want to be and why?
mm,
Such random questions. And some of them used to be amazing, and some of them you think, oh my word, how am I going to think of anything? So I felt that my time had run out at Toastmasters. And the funny
mm,
thing is, I have been thinking I'd love to go back, just to go do some table topics, and just to get in the practice of the face to face talking, because I haven't done that and I'm out of practice. And you lose, when you don't do something regularly, you do lose that,
mm,
not the ability, but you lose the confidence.
mm,
And I want to get back into the face to face talking. I'm quite comfortable. I'm in my own office, I've got my space, and it doesn't matter how many faces are on my screen, I still feel in my own space. But every now and again, I'm having to go out and do present in public, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this
mm,
anymore, because I'm out of practice. It's not because
mm,
I've lost the skill. I'm just not used to it anymore.
mm,
So I have been thinking about going back, just to get that face to face back
mm.
in. But who knows?
It's really important to know the difference between being online and being offline as well, because there's so many keyboard warriors and so many people who are so overconfident by tapping on their keyboards and being as obnoxious as they want. And that's part of the falling apart of the society today, is the keyboard warrior, because you say something and you speak confidently on the video, and they go, who do you think you are, blah 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 blah. But then if you were to do that in public, they would be quiet as a mouse sitting at the back. And so there is a different dynamic, and being online is so much harder. But there's a lot of highly sensitive people that I work with, and that uh, what you were saying about freezing, or it's kind of like that fight or flight thing that keeps coming in, especially if you've got emotional childhood wounds inside of you, that you just, it goes and you almost like react like a, I call it like the highly sensitive machine gun, where you get everything that's stored up and you go and you're firing away with your mouth. So I do get that, and it's really difficult to overcome that. But we do it with like breathing exercises, Ki Gong, and just seeing what reactions happening on your body. So, what would you say, or give people tips how you get over that feeling? Because I know the stage fright can be a good thing, because it can actually, that you can learn to turn those butterflies into energy. How would you say, what would you say to somebody who said, oh my goodness me, I can't speak in public, everything just closes up? What would be the best advice you would give to them to say, actually just speak your truth? What would you say is the best way of approaching that?
Funny you should mention deep breathing. Is the breath is powerful. And one thing I do say is that song, Silence is Golden. It's true. Silence is power, and the pause is power. And I know a lot of people don't like the silence scares them. But if you on stage and you talking, you own that space. And very often people don't necessarily notice that you've had a moment of freeze. So if that is happening and your brain is going in overdrive, your heart is pumping, your palms are sweaty, it feels like your tongue is going to burst out of your mouth because it's swelling so much, your mouth is dry, and you just like, I don't know what to do, like a deer in the headlights. The first thing I would say is just pause and breathe. Catch your breath. Just deep breath in, deep breath out. Now, what this does is your brain has now gone into overdrive and it's gone into this fight or flight. And it's most probably just going in your head. And when you take that moment to breathe in and breathe out and just focus on the breathing, don't worry about what's going on, that you've forgotten your speech or that there's people there. They might not even have noticed that this has happened. Is you start to slow down your brain, you start to slow down this what's going on, and it's a way that your brain just relaxes. It just stops thinking you're in danger. And then what happens is, I normally say about 3 breaths. It just depends on how you're feeling. It's not a rule, it's just a suggestion. Could be 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths, but it's really to really breathe in and breathe out. And that just slows your heart rate down, slows the brain down, and your brain will start functioning at a normal rate instead of being in that fight or flight, freeze, fight, flight, I think it is. It just calms down, and you'll find that you'll carry on from where you left off. You'll feel more relaxed. You'll feel more connected with where you are. And then you've got the embarrassment bit, because now you are being seen and you now feel embarrassed because you think, and this is the brain again, you think everybody is judging you. First of all, it's about a 50 to 80% chance they didn't notice, not unless you were sort of flapping about or anything, that nobody noticed. And second of all, remember what I said, silence is golden. The power of the pause is when you do pause, when you're making a speech or talking or anything, it's allowing your audience, their brains, to catch up with what you're saying.
Mm.
So if you think about somebody who talks really fast and you've got good hearing, but you're thinking, what the hell are they saying? I can't hear them. It's because they're talking too fast for your brain to absorb the words that are being said.
Mm.
Whereas if somebody is talking at a normal rate, you can hear what they say. And then if they pause, your brain then catches up with what they're saying. So remember those 2 things, is they're not judging you for just taking your breath.
Mm.
Chances are they haven't noticed. And B, that pause is a powerful tool. And if you look at speakers, very often when they are pausing, they are catching their breath. They're catching themselves. And if you get speakers who just rattle on and on, you start to hear them getting tongue-tied. You start to see that they're getting confused where they are. Whereas if all they did was just stop and carried on, it's like a normal conversation.
Mm.
And so the breath and pause.
It's very true. I remember, I think it was about my 5th or 6th speech in Toastmasters. I used to time out the 7 minutes of the speech, and when I've actually got to do the speech, I almost learn it word for word. It would be 5 minutes because it's like, and then I remember it was about my 5th or 6th speech. I spoke to the timekeeper and I said, "What do you think of my speech?" He goes, "You paused." You paused in your speech. It was amazing. What do you think of the speech? No, the pause. It was the pause. It's like when you're saying, I'm going to tell you something now, and I'm really going to tell you that this is really good. Or you go, I'm going to tell you something now. Are you ready? And it's just so much more powerful, so much more effective to communicate in a slower manner. Because if you think about how our world works today, it's also quick. Everybody wants everything so blah, 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 blah. But if you slow down, and we were talking about that earlier, weren't we, about being a human being rather than a human doing, slow down and be yourself, your authentic self. That is so much more effective than trying to be somebody else, because it's such a miserable life when you try to aspire to be somebody else, because you'll never be somebody else. You will only ever be you. And I think that's such an important point for all of us to really understand. But what I like about confidence is that you can start to speak what you feel. And I think that's really important, especially if you're really a highly sensitive human being, because when you can actually start to communicate in a proper manner, people will start to listen more. Because a lot of sensitive people get written off. Oh, you're too sensitive. You think about things too much. You're this, you're that. And it's like awful labels that we all get thrust upon us. And then you can turn around and say, no, actually, I'm not thinking about that too much. What I see is this, and this. And what I see is this moving to here, this moving to here, moving to there. And I think what most people are doing is they're coming back with fear to stop us actually expressing what we want, because they're feeling like, wow, goodness me, they're confident. I'm not very confident. I'm going to try and make objections to that. And that's what I find a lot of interactions that I used to have before Toastmasters. Now Toastmasters has been a brilliant tool. And all the other stuff that I've done with the Ki Gong and the self-inquiry and the inner journey has made me realize, actually, I've got something to offer people. And I do, the same as you. I love speaking to people. I love meeting new people. I love going out and just spreading the word that I've got to spread, which is really, we all come from a place of love. So it's important our journey. So how's your journey working out for you now at the moment with your coaching, and how's that all going?
Yes, it's going. I'm getting more, I think the term is picky with who I want to work with, because I am on very much I'm going to use the term rabbit hole digger. I'm down a lot of rabbit holes, and I'm looking at the way the world is evolving at the moment, and I'm not liking a lot of it. And I aspire to be a sort of I guess, a lighthouse in the storm. And it's finding a way that I can be a lighthouse without being a target. I guess that's, like you said, the keyboard warriors are out there because it's easy. No, it's anonymous. Even if you have your name on the post or something, it is still anonymous, essentially. But it's about, as you said, finding your truth, speaking your truth. And sometimes your truth does not resonate with everybody. And this is where I'm at, is my truth is not resonating with everybody, but it's my truth. And I know that there's others out there who have the same ideas, or the same, it's not exactly like mine, but we're on the same wavelength. I guess that's the term to use. And this is what I am finding, is there's a shift within myself, but also within my business, is to be true to who I am, to follow my truth and to speak my truth. And that's not always something that is easy to do, unless you are the popular opinions or the popular ideas, then you can just slot in. But if you are really digging in and starting to find your own truth, then is it going to resonate with everybody? And how can you share it for me, is without offending anyone intentionally? But it's saying, this is my truth. You're welcome to join me on my journey. Or if it's not something that appeals to you, that's fine. You on your own journey. What's your truth? and
Mm,
to really start to come back to who we are as humans. And
mm,
as you said, it's about being. And this is something that is really starting to resonate with me. And one of there's a Hawaiian word called alakoa, and that is to cultivate the spirit of the warrior. And I love this word because when we are finding ourselves, so finding our true selves and finding out who we are and what we want to who we want to be in the world and what our message is, it is about cultivating our own personal sort of warrior within us. And this is where I'm at right now, is I am finding my own truth, and it's not always the popular one. And that's been like that all my life. I've always been the odd one out. And this is most probably one of the reasons why I was bullied a lot, because I had my own ideas and I didn't mind sharing them. And then I clammed up, and then I kept quiet and I hid myself essentially because I didn't want to be bullied.
mm,
And now, with having done all the personal development and the learning, it's hang on a minute, why must I keep quiet because my ideas don't resonate with you?
mm,
Why don't you keep quiet and let me just speak? So the world is big enough for everybody to have their own opinions, to have their own ideas. We
mm.
don't have to ostracize somebody because they say the sky is purple and you say, but it's blue. No,
Mm,
it's purple. No, it's blue. Oh, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Let's go to war. You say it's purple. You lie.
mm.
Why can't we say, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why you think it's purple. You
Yeah.
know, what is it that is purple for you? Why is that? And actually have that dialogue is find a way to understand where's that person coming from.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's what I'm wanting.
Thomas Jefferson said that really well. One of the founding fathers of America. He said that when you have two differing opinions, in the grey area, there's magic because you'll find something that you can resonate with, both of you, and that is slowly diminishing, very slowly diminishing out the window, basically. And we've got an agenda going on in the background that seems like it's stopping freedom of speech and having opinions, and not being allowed to think outside the box anymore because we have a system that doesn't want to be budged. And that's really becoming really apparent. So I think what you're saying to me really resonates, because I feel that we should be able to say things like, I don't trust the government anymore because they've done this, and this. I don't trust the pharmaceutical company anymore because they've done this, and this. But to some people, that's very radical. To me personally, that is just expressing an opinion. It doesn't matter whether you agree with that opinion or not. Please listen to what I'm saying, because that opinion has come from an intelligent insight into something. And I'm not worried about polarizing people anymore. I don't want to upset them. I'm the same as you, but I'm not worried about, well, he's a lunatic. For instance, I put in, the Facebook post or the LinkedIn post. When you post in LinkedIn, you've only got a certain amount of words, so you can't write a book about it. But I wrote something on arrested development because I feel human beings are in arrested development for many reasons. One is, I think, in our DNA, we've had a catastrophe in the world about 12,000 years ago, and I think that's still resonating through us in fear. It's a fear vibration. Also, we've had a male top-down control system on us for hundreds, if not thousands of years now. So that's resonating in us as well. So I feel that human beings are in arrested development, and that is what the Kali Yuga says as well, that we're living in a very sort of the lowest spiritual age, but it's the best one for you to become spiritually enlightened. So I put a little short post like that on Facebook saying, this is what I think. It's up to you whether you like it or not. I don't mind. Oh, there you go. You've sorted out the world's problems. And then I said, well, no, it's just, these are my thoughts. This is what I think we're at. This is where, and scientists and now professors are starting to say that as well. Now I'm thinking, this is obviously a group consciousness, picking up on the group consciousness of where we're at, because we're concerned what's happening with the world. And then he starts attacking me personally. He can't go with any of the points that I've made. And seems to be a typical way of people on the internet now. They don't attack what you're saying, they attack you as a person. So they'll try and manipulate you into writing something down, and then they'll attack that. But it's funny that they don't do that to your face. They can only do it online. And that's what I found one of the issues about putting yourself up above the parapet and saying, hey, I want to help, is you get all of these people doing this to you. And to me now, I feel sorry for them. And I feel like, literally, when I say I'll send you lots of love, and I really do hope that you can recover from this, because I think you've got a major issue, it's not me. Because I'm quite happy to speak about what I've got, but if you're just going to be abusive and nasty, then it's not worth me putting any attention or energy to that, because that's what our Ki Gong says. It's where your mind goes, your energy follows. All right. So where can people get hold of you? They want to see. You got a free thing on the internet, haven't you? You got a free.
I do have a freebie. It's called The 3 C's to a V on Confidence, and you can download it. You are then on my mailing list. I do send out newsletters regularly. You can find me on YouTube, Natalie King Coaching, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not predominant on LinkedIn, but I do post every now and again on LinkedIn, or my website, again, Natalie King Coaching. These are the places where you can get hold of me, and I'm always happy to have conversations with people, because I think that connection is so important. And yes, the world has become smaller. Zoom is great. We can all communicate with people all around the world at any time zone, but yet that connection and those conversations seem to have died down. And I want to bring back the conversations and the power of just connecting with another person on a one-to-one level. So I do enjoy having conversations with people. It's not about selling what I do, it's about getting to know somebody. And if I resonate with somebody and they want help with their confidence, I'm always happy to help. But I do grab the 3 C's to a V download. It really is a great start to building confidence and starting to get an idea of how you can just go out there and be confident and get your own superpower confidence.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to stop recording now. I'm just going to open up the floor for some questions from our members. So hang on a second.